Welcome to the Project 820 podcast. Podcast disclaimer. The following podcast is just a couple guys riffing back and forth about nerdy stuff, current events, hot button topics, and everything in between. Everything is opinion-based, and sometimes facts will be incorrect and misinformed. No one knows everything, and we aren't always fact-checking while we record. Knowing this, be aware when commenting that a constructive correction is always welcome, but a harassing and aggressive retort will be laughed at and dismissed immediately. That's all. Enjoy the show. This is the Project 820 podcast.
There we go. We are recording. Boy, that thing is moving.
Yeah, well, it's
pretty zoomed in.
There you go.
There we go. Yeah. Okay, so what are we at for?
Rain on its mind.
All right. So what are we gonna talk about?
But it's bloating at the verb.
The verb.
The verb.
So what are we gonna talk about?
I don't know. What do you want to talk about?
Ooh, let's talk more about the Minecraft, the Mineorama thing.
Oh God, fucking Mineorama.
So what's new with that?
I haven't.
So just for our listeners, can you catch
our
them
listeners
up real quick? Yeah.
Okay. Our listeners, if you haven't heard, there's this video game called Minecraft that's sweeping the nation.
Okay. I would assume our listeners probably know about Minecraft.
Probably.
Yes.
Well, the big thing now is the Minecraft conventions, and there's apparently been in the last 6 or 7 months, there's been 4 convention scams, and this is the biggest one because there was a convention to be held in New York City called Mineorama, and it was supposed to have a bunch of booths and have a bunch of YouTubers there and all this different stuff, and it had actually teamed up with a local charity in New York.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So wait, it was actually like, that's why people thought it was so legit.
Well, it was teamed up with it was a science charity.
Oh yeah, but did you know that the charity?
The thing. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
The guy who was running Mineorama, I can't remember his name offhand, but he owned Mineorama, and he owned that as like an LLC, like he actually has that as like a business.
Yep.
And it's a for-profit business. Turns out that same guy owned the charity that had partnered with it as a non-profit.
Oh,
so
man.
this is like one big red flag for anyone who knows about fraud.
Right.
Because he can take all of the money he brings in and run it through the charity instead of Mineorama, and then he gets taxed differently.
That's ridiculous.
So he didn't have nearly as many taxes taken out for all of the money he got. And tickets were $150, and then you could put in an extra $50 and pay $200 to get an like exclusive gamers pass, which meant that you could do like all night LAN parties and stuff like that.
I heard about that.
And the what was it, 5 or 6 days before the event was to take place, they got on their Twitter and said the event had to be postponed because of financial problems. Like they didn't have enough money to book the venue or something like that, which you'd think would have been taken care of probably sooner than 5 days beforehand.
Yeah, except for the fact that it's a total scam.
Now, did you also know he was interviewed by Forbes?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, he's interviewed by Forbes about like how like it's like, where did all this Minecraft convention stuff come from, and now that it's partnered with a charity and this is a really good cause and stuff. And at that time, he had said that they had sold over 7,000 tickets. Mm-hmm. Well, when they actually postponed the event, they made a statement saying they had sold 3,000 tickets, and that you could email this email address to get a refund.
And 3,000 tickets, didn't that come out to like $500,000?
Yeah, but the thing is that friggin' 4 months earlier, he had stated that he had 7,000. Yeah. So between all of the regular tickets plus the people that had spent money on the extra like perks and stuff like that, I mean it ended up being like over $1 million worth of stuff.
So is this dude out of the country now? Like,
I don't know. Like basically, like they gave everyone an email and said email this contact to talk about getting your refund and stuff.
But then they took the site down.
And then the website after about a week, the website went down, and then their Twitter account went down, and then
their Twitter account was actually reopened by someone 16-year-old kid who kept posting things like, I have your money and I'm in Mexico and stuff like that. And then people were freaking out at him, and like I think every day he has a tweet that says something along the lines of, I'm not the actual Mineorama people. I'm a 16-year-old kid.
Yeah. I nabbed up the name because it's funny.
Right.
Yeah.
And it is funny.
Oh, it is.
Good for him. But yeah, that's a mess.
So yeah, it's very likely he's not in this country anymore.
Right.
Because that's, oh god, that's so much money.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, if anyone had actually been looking into this at the time, and it's all in hindsight, you know?
Yeah.
Because this guy had 3 failed companies beforehand. He had 3 different things that had gone out of business and stuff. Yeah. And it screamed of fraud the entire time.
Right. Well, and the thing too, like, what kind of sucks is, like, if he were to actually follow through, like, even if it started as a scam, but then he followed through with it, he might have made more money. Because, like, honestly, he had, like, the whole thing set up, and then he just ditched town.
Well, it's okay, because think about how much money could it have possibly cost him to actually hold the event.
Yeah.
Like, maybe, okay, even if he made $1 million, even if it had cost him $500,000 to run the event,
you're still
$1 million up.
And then you do it every year, and you make even more money.
Like, here's a cool $500,000 for your company, no problem.
Right.
And then there were so many things, like red flags along the way, like the fact that the charity itself had said that a percentage will be donated to charity. And it never said anywhere how much. Even when Forbes was talking to them, it had never said the exact percentage. So it's just like, it's probably 1 freaking percent, like, or something, and all the rest goes to his personal, like, for-profit business.
Jesus.
So, but yeah, he's probably in Mexico. I feel horrible for the people that. I mean, what if a group of people from Minnesota decided this looks like a big convention? Let's go.
And
they book hotels, they book flights, and everything, and you can't cancel those.
There was people from Europe too that were planning on going, and they couldn't, in the end they had to cancel. Luckily there was, well, I don't know how many, but the commenter said, luckily, I didn't leave yet, but yeah, I mean, he screwed a lot of people over pretty heavily.
It's just it's kind of ridiculous to see, because you're not only talking about just and then, like, I know some people who had, if you paid with, like, a credit card, there's, like, you can go in there and say this is fraud, and then you won't be charged for it, kind of thing.
Right.
But if you paid with, like, PayPal like in the last few months, it's long gone. There's no way to undo it.
It's gone.
But yeah, Mineorama.
Yeah.
Crazy. And that's one of 4 conventions in the last
so
6,
what were the other
months.
Ones?
I don't know. I don't really know anything about the other ones, but I did see that one of them, I don't know if it was Minapalooza, like the stupid names. But they actually
returned the money.
They returned the money because I don't know if,
so that was a legitimate thing.
Maybe people are still saying that it was initially a scam and they couldn't quite pull it off. So to save face, they said, "Oh yeah, things just fell through with the event. Here's all your money back, guys." So they don't go to fucking jail.
It sounds like they blame Mojang a lot too.
That's what fucking Mineorama did too, though.
Right? Yeah.
Because Mojang got wind of all this skeevy ass shit and was just like, no, we're not affiliated with this at all. We don't like it, all this stuff. And because what happened is that Mineorama initially, they decided like a month beforehand that they wanted to live stream like BlizzCon does and like RTX does. They wanted to live stream to Twitch. They wanted to have multiple channels and things like that. And Mojang did not sign off on it, because to do that stuff you do need Mojang to kind of be down with it. Otherwise Mojang can have the streams shut down at any time.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So Mojang said no way, and because of that, that was their scapegoat. They're just like, all right, well, this kind of fell through and we've been trying to get it worked out and we never did, so we're gonna have to postpone the event. Postpone, air quotes. Like, postpone till never, and this guy is probably out in fucking Guatemala now, or Cuba, just like living it up with a fucking cigar and 3 bitches.
Well, he's probably living in Belize right alongside of the that John McAfee dude.
Or fucking Snowden. Those guys are all hanging out in Sweden or some shit.
Well, no, so you've heard all the stuff about John McAfee and Belize. Oh, well, so he had his own private island in Belize.
Okay.
And then his neighbor was murdered. And the Belizean government decided to blame it on him, on John McAfee.
So when you say neighbor, you say a private island. Is the neighbor on the island or a neighboring island?
A neighboring island.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just like, that island's not that private if you got like Joe down the road.
And the thing is, the Belizean government didn't really like having him around anyway, because he's just this... he's just kind of like this old playboy,
This rich white
this
guy.
old white
just
playboy.
Get the fuck out.
And so, the Belizean government, he claims the Belizean government is trying to kill him, which honestly, I've heard people from Belize say, you know how bad it sounds, like the corruption in Belize? Yeah, it's worse.
So the fact that he is claiming they want to kill him is not that far-fetched.
No, it's probably true. But then he started a new website called Brown List, I believe it's called.
Okay.
And basically what you do on this website is, let's say you are being audited unjustly. So you write down what's happening to you, and then you write down a solution to the problem and how to get out of it. Like, my internet company will not let me disconnect with them. Every time I talk to them, it's like a half an hour of me talking to them and them trying to convince me to stay. How do I get past this? And then like a list of things that you can say and do in order to make them do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And he claims that it's his way of getting back at the anti-privacy that's going on everywhere.
Yeah.
So like Google, whenever you upload anything to Google, they have it forever. They'll keep it forever. They'll go through it, data mine it. You know, they'll make a record of who they think you are. You carry an Android phone. It knows where you work, which is creepy. It knows where you go to bed. It knows what your driving route is from home to work. Like, and it's like, we think that you usually park here. It knows where your car is parked because it can tell, like, you drove this far, you were going 30 miles an hour, all of a sudden you started walking.
Yeah,
and you were going
now you're going a half mile an hour.
Right. So obviously your car is parked here kind of thing. Which is, it's just odd that they know that much about you just because they're keeping your location all the time.
Yeah.
That's a little creepy. You know, like, honestly, Google having that information to me isn't that scary. But I know that Google holds back its like marketing team all the time because they're like, no, that's creepy. I know that you saw them going into a porn shop. I know that you knew that they went into a porn shop. You can't give them porn ads when they go on. You know,
those cookies are getting scary.
Yeah, so like
they're more and more accurate every day.
Well, yeah, because they know where you are all the time. They know where you frequent. They know that you go to Cashwise all the time instead of Coburn's, and they know that you go to Coburn's every once in a while. So you must need something at Coburn's every once in a while.
Yeah.
And then, you know, oh, look, on your Google Plus page, you just said, I love these chips, but I can only get them at Coburn's. And now they know why you go to Coburn's.
Now, did you hear about the guy who, and I think I may have talked about this before, the guy who was trying to cancel his, was it Comcast service?
Yeah,
and,
I heard that.
Oh, my gosh. And he ended up recording it because he had his wife call Comcast, and he was, I'm pretty sure this is Comcast, and I apologize if it's not.
Yeah.
But he had his wife call because he wanted to cancel, because I think they were going to move, and they had brought Comcast with them for like 2 or 3 moves already. But they decided they didn't want the service anymore. So he just told his wife, hey, can you call and just cancel the service because we're going to.
And they wouldn't let him.
And his wife, after talking to the sales rep for like, 20 minutes or something, finally passed the phone off to her husband and just like, you need to talk to this guy.
Let's listen to it.
Because, oh God, I'd have to. It won't work on this.
What do you mean?
Any audio on this computer does not play right now, remember?
That's stupid.
It's kind of irritating.
But let's pretend like we listened to it.
I'm listening. Hey. No, this guy, he recorded a large portion of the conversation and it said, and he's talking to this guy, and the guy kept asking, like, well, why do you want to cancel our service? And he, he'd say, like, that's, like, I don't have to tell you that. Like, that's not part of canceling it. Like, and he kept asking, like, can you cancel my service over the phone? And the guy kept dodging the question. You know, like, he dodged every question the guy asked. And
I found it.
God, it was ridiculous to listen to, because it's just like, and Comcast came out later and said, this person does not represent our company, and like
bullshit.
Like we do not train our employees this way.
Yeah,
like,
of course they don't.
Yeah, no,
of course they don't.
Not.
All right, here we go. What?
Help me understand.
Just disconnect us. Because my job is to have a conversation with you.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Your job is to be a customer service person, not a fucking.
I don't understand. If you don't want to talk to me, you can
I would have blown up at him. I would have been like, okay, listen, you stupid motherfucker. And then I would have muted him. And I would have been like, I just muted you, so you have to listen to me. You have to shut your fucking mouth now and listen to me. Like, I would not have put up with that.
I commend this guy for having the patience he does.
Yeah.
He doesn't fly off the handle at all.
Never, no. And I totally would have. And I would have screamed at him and screamed at him. But, you know, I think, like, with somebody who's this big of an asshole, you should definitely scream at him. Don't you think?
I don't know if you should scream at him. I don't think he's in the right at all, like, by any means, but... Because then, yeah, he mentioned that, because the guy was saying, you gotta kill, you can go in and cancel your service in the frickin' building, because you'll kill two birds with one stone, because you have to bring in the thing anyways, and the guy tells him, it's like, well, we're gonna have someone run that in for us, because we're not gonna waste our time.
Yeah.
And so he's like, can you cancel our service over the phone? And just refuse to answer.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you not want the number one service?
Right there, I would have, when he asked, why would you not want the number one service, I would have responded with, because you have the worst possible sale or
customer
service ever.
The snarkiest that this customer gets is at one point the guy asks like why do you want to switch, and he the only time where he almost got hostile was he said, I will say this right here is a perfect example of why we're switching.
Yeah,
like and
right there. I think it was right there.
Yeah, that's all he'll say. That's like the worst he got about it too.
Yeah. Dude, you're not trying to help him. You're trying to keep your paycheck, because I guarantee you he wouldn't be working this hard if he wasn't going to get a nice bonus if he kept this guy. I guarantee you that they give bonuses to people who talk people into staying.
Probably. It's probably like a commission-based thing or something.
For sure. Because, they are salesmen. This is like a bad salesman right here. Speaking of bad salesmen, I don't know if I ever told you this story.
Wait, before you go off on a tangent, I do have a story that directly relates to this. Because I had to, because in central Minnesota here, a lot of people use Charter. I think, do you have Charter?
Yeah, I have Charter.
Okay. Because I use Charter at the time I was using it for my internet and my landline. And the only reason we had a landline is because the buzz-in on our apartment goes to a phone number, and I didn't want it on my cell phone.
Gotcha.
But over time, we barely have anyone buzz in. People just come to like a door, and we go down and let them in.
And open it, yeah.
So eventually I decided, you know what, this is like $15 a month we don't need to be spending. So I called Charter, and this is after I'd listened to this thing from Comcast and this other guy. So I was like, I'm curious now, because I'm just going to be comparing this entire customer service experience to this. Now, people say a lot of negative stuff about Charter, about their service in general, like about like the quality of their service and the quality of their customer service.
Here's one thing about them, is that they say that you can have up to 30 megs per second. That's what we have. I've never seen it there. The highest I've seen it is 23, and that was at like 4 a.m. when pretty much nobody else was online, Well, another
thing with that too is like, because you go through like you use a router and stuff, and do you have any like cell phones hooked up to that at all? Like, are they keyed in to use Wi-Fi?
No.
On there?
No.
Because I noticed that, because the thing is with a lot of those routers, what they'll do is they will base the speed off of the slowest device, even if the device is not currently active. Like if they still can ping it.
Well,
so like
why, right?
My Nintendo DS was hooked up to it for a while, and I think it still is.
Yeah, but I wasn't wireless. I was testing it wired.
Yeah.
But do you know, because a wireless router can only talk to one device at a time.
Yeah.
So then it gives every device on the network a little section. So if you have a 54 megabyte wireless router, which is what most of them are, at least that's what mine is at home. I don't know. I shouldn't say most of them are. But how it works is that router can only give that amount of speed to one device at a time.
Yeah.
So technically what you actually have when you have two devices on is 32, and then when you have 3 devices on, divided by 3, I can't do math, 4 devices on. So the more devices you add, the slower it's going to get, because that router can only talk to one device at a time. That's why when you go to the airport and you try to use their wireless that they have, it's shit. It's because they have a shit ton of people all on wireless trying to use it, and it's slow as fuck. But anyway, as you were saying.
So people, I've heard a lot of people make comments about charters, like their actual product, like their service quality, and as well as their customer service quality. And not a lot of it has been super positive.
Yeah.
But I will say this was a very, very pleasant customer service experience.
Thing is, though, you were continuing to be a customer.
I wasn't ending my stuff permanently, but like, because I got on the line because I mentioned I wanted to cancel my phone and I was going to keep the internet. So I got on there, and so the customer service rep, she asks, because I said like I wanted to cancel my phone service, and she asks like, so why were you looking to cancel today? And okay, unlike Comcast guy, I had no qualms with saying it's like we just want to save some money and we don't really use it,
right?
So she's like, all right, I get that, and the thing is, the person I'm talking to is probably someone who, for all I know, they're in the same position as me, could use to save some money too, so. It was more like talking to a human and less like talking to a salesperson.
A jackass.
Yeah, or like talking to a jackass.
Yeah.
So I just, I explained. And the thing is that, like those customer service reps, they have a list of stuff they have to go down and they have to say, make sure you go over this and this and this. So I had mentioned, we're just trying to save some money and stuff. And so, of course, after that, she had, because they have that whole charter triple play, so they want to bundle your TV and stuff. And she asked us, like, so do you have a cable provider right now? Because I figured I'd just let you know we do have a promotion going on right now. And she started riffing about it and stuff. And, she asked, it's like, is this something you'd ever be interested in? And I said, it's like, today I think we're just going to cancel a service. We're not going to get another one, and she's like, and the thing is, she didn't push it after that. She mentioned it one more time and was just like, well, if you guys ever are looking for it, there'll be definitely options and promotions and bundling things available for you. And I was like, okay, sounds good. Like, it irked me a little, just in the sense that I had just canceled the service and I explained that it was because of financial issues.
Right, and then they try to push.
And then you try to make me buy more stuff.
They probably have to
but
do that.
But it's literally like, here's a checklist you have to hit, and if someone picks that conversation to randomly listen to, you could get like demerited and shit like that for not doing the proper procedures and stuff. But she did it really quickly, like over the phone, like no problem, canceled it right away, and they didn't have to come get anything because my phone was running through the modem box that
there you go.
The internet, so it was just like, all right, it's taken care of. Like,
actually, because I had phone too, and then when I canceled it, they were like, all right, we'll send somebody to pick up the box. No one ever came.
Really?
It's like, yeah, I have a phone modem box, and they don't give a shit.
So wait, you had a separate box for it? Really?
For the phone, yeah.
Weird.
Okay,
because they ran everything through the one box for me.
Huh. But my other story here is when me and my Amy, my wife, went to Florida, and we won a cruise. If you ever win a cruise, don't do it, because
you won, air quotes.
Yeah. So what you win is 5 hours of listening to a timeshare lady tell you that if you don't use timeshares, you're gonna be murdered and raped.
Yeah.
Which was one of the things that she said. So we asked her, how long is this going to take? And she's like, about 2 hours. Took 6 hours, I think, in the end. And then,
but if you don't fulfill it, then you get, get the boot.
Yeah.
If you don't stay for the whole meeting, you got to pay for the cruise.
Right.
So.
Right. And so, and like, honestly, once we got to the Bahamas after the cruise, it was fantastic. But being in Florida, it wasn't fun, because the whole time it was us running around trying to get our cruise.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we did the timeshare thing with a lady, and at one point she's telling us how safe it is to have a timeshare, because the whole idea with timeshares is that you buy one and then you can trade your timeshare with other people to go to different parts of the world, right? So you can be like, hey, you have a timeshare in Egypt. I've always wanted to go there. Do you want to go to Florida? Yeah.
I've never heard of timesharing a cruise, because I've heard like timesharing.
No, there's no cruise timeshare.
Well,
there was a timeshare in Florida, and then because we went on that trip, because we did the thing with them, we looked over the timeshare stuff. Because we did that, we got to go on a cruise.
Okay.
So the cruise and the timeshare are
just
kind of
separate.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you can trade timeshares with people within the same company that have timeshares in different places.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Or even like you could even trade timeshares with because like the company will help you trade the timeshare with somebody else.
Yeah.
With that, yeah. But you can also you could like go on to Craigslist and say, hey, I have this timeshare. Why don't you you give me $500? You give me $500 and you can go there. And like my family actually did that once. We went to this place that was a timeshare. So honestly, finding a timeshare for a family vacation that you're renting from somebody who owns it, that's a good way to go. Owning the timeshare yourself, fuck that.
No, thank you.
Yeah, it's dumb. But here's the thing. So we're sitting down with the lady and she's telling us how it's safest, to have a timeshare because they're in buildings that are locked. People have, it's decent people that they sell timeshares to. Bullshit. Anyway, they sell it to anyone. They don't give a shit who the hell buys it. They try to sell these places, right? So anyway, she's telling us how safe it is, and then she brings up this case that happened in Yellowstone where these people went to a really kind of shady motel, and then they were murdered, raped, and chopped into little pieces.
Ooh.
And she's like, you don't really want that to happen to you, do you? and so she said that, and I looked at her, and like, honestly, what I wish I would have said is, that is extraordinarily offensive, and it's a horrible sales tactic. Don't ever use that again, because it's going to turn everyone off immediately. I hate you, and I hate this company. Because you're threatening me, telling me that I'm going to get raped and murdered that's the most ridiculous thing ever. It's upsetting. It's disgusting. That's a horrible sales tactic. And
sell with threats.
Yeah. And so basically, actually, I wonder if that company hires people to go rape, murder, and chop people up just to make their threats more legitimate.
That would be, yeah. We actually have 79 cases of people being chopped and murdered. Really, because you've had 79 meetings in the last 3 months.
Yeah. So it was really disgusting. And then, so when we went in there, and I'm going to let you know this, so if you want to buy a timeshare, for some reason, make sure you hold out as long as possible. Because what they do is they give you the initial offer, which is like $42,000, right? For this freaking timeshare. You go there once a year, and you're going to pay $42,000 for it. Also, if the company, which is a timeshare company, that's real stable. Yeah. But if they go out of business, you're fucked. You no longer have a timeshare.
I suppose it just defaults back to whoever owns it.
Yeah, it's owned by the company, and it's not like you and 52 people are going to freaking split the one unit and sell it to somebody for as much, And so it's just, it's super risky to buy a timeshare. Because when you buy a timeshare, you're assuming that this company that's a freaking scam is going to stay alive.
Yeah.
And that's scary. Anyway. What was I saying?
It was a timeshare and murdering people. And
I can't remember.
Jack the Ripper is gonna come get your kids, hide your kids.
Oh yeah. So they start off at $42,000, right? Then they brought in this one because according to laws, if somebody dies while paying off their timeshare, you can't then resell that timeshare for its full value, considering that it's already been sold off to a certain point.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they would just kill people right before they were done and then resell it. So they have to sell it for the value at what was left, and they have tons of those.
Oh yeah,
all over the place. Because who buys timeshares?
Old people.
Yeah. So these old people are buying up timeshares. They die. They still have payments left on them because they were the dumbasses that bought it $42,000 because they were like, ooh, high-end pineapple tree. Well, okay, first of all, old person. This is so ageist. But anyway, pineapple trees don't exist. I was thinking palm tree, said pineapple tree because I'm an idiot.
It comes with Alzheimer's and like old people.
Right. Pineapples grow from a plant. They do.
I am smart.
Yeah. Anyway, so one of the most disgusting things is that they were telling me that if one of the palm trees in the area that we were at, because the area we were at, it was like right next to a PGA golf course. Like It was super nice.
Yeah.
The area that we were at, if a palm tree looks just a little bit wrong, they'll dig it out of the ground and put in a new palm tree. And it costs them $25,000 only for the palm tree. Because they're buying palm trees that are perfectly straight and will never not be straight and are perfectly, like, width is perfect and everything. There were people working on the golf course while we were there.
Yeah.
And they put up tarps, like they put up a fence around the golf course so that the rich people wouldn't have to look at the poor people who were working on their golf course.
Oh my God.
Like the amount of just stuck up.
Did you feel dirty just being
yes,
there?
No, because like me and Amy, obviously, like Amy's about as socialist as you can get.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty damn liberal. And so while we were there, we were like, this is what's wrong with this country. And you're showing it to us and telling us that it's a great thing. Fuck off and die.
Yeah.
like the whole time we hated that woman so much. And then yeah, by the time we got out the door, they were offering us the same unit, which started off at $42,000. They're offering us the same unit for $3,000.
Really?
$3,000.
Oh my God. So
Yep.
they started at 42, hoping they'll come across some idiots.
Yep.
There's like, that's a great idea, and
Yeah.
then if you don't jump on it right away, well, I mean, the thing is we can definitely lower that and make it a little more. Let's try $20,000. Let's
Yeah.
try 10. Let's try 5. How about 3?
And the thing
How
was,
about
like,
$29.99?
so I started off very nice, and I was like, no, we're just not interested. We don't have the money. We don't really travel that much. It wouldn't make sense for us. Well, that's fine, but you know, you really should, because when you do the math, and it's like, okay, you're doing math that makes no sense right now. It's not, okay.
Like, I got a D in math, and this isn't good math.
Yeah. It was the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And,
it's a sales pitch. That's all
yeah.
it is.
And then finally, when we got to the end, we had to talk to this one last guy. And he's like the dude that's going to give you the awesome price. And if you say no, then you can walk.
Yeah.
Okay. He's not going to bug you because he owns the company. And he's just going to give you one last awesome pitch for $3,000. And then you can walk after that. And, yeah. So when he was like, $3,000, are you interested? And I said, no. Just like that. I was so pissed.
Yeah.
I was just like, you guys told me this would take 2 hours. You said that this was going to be like friends of ours said it's pretty fun. You get to look at some nice houses and you get to, you know, kind of pretend like you're super rich for a little bit.
Yeah.
Pretend like you belong. And it's kind of neat. Usually the salespeople are pretty fun. Sales lady was not fun at all. She was the type of person, like, I like to talk.
Yeah.
Okay. And usually somebody who likes to talk is usually pretty good for a salesperson, because then you can get them to like you because they just want to talk and be listened to, and you can be like, oh my God, that's interesting, when in your head you're thinking you're the fucking boringest person ever.
Yeah.
But she liked to talk, and she liked to cut me off and talk about what she wanted to talk about.
Oh.
And the whole time she thought that at first she thought that I was going to be the tough one to sell on. And then she thought Amy was going to be the tough one to sell on. So when she thought Amy was going to be the tough one to sell on, she stopped talking to me and would only talk to Amy.
It's possible she jumped, too, because she was just like, I'm not getting anywhere with this person. Let's talk to his wife.
Yeah.
And see
also,
if I can work in with her a little bit.
I think another thing she thought was possibly, like, I can probably work over his wife a whole lot faster, and then she can make him say yes.
Yeah.
But, like, there was no way. Going in, there was no way Amy was going to say yes.
Oh, God, no.
Like, and Amy too, when she heard 3,000, she was like, we could. And I was just like, fuck, no!
Like, 3,000, that is a reasonable deal. Still, the answer is no.
Yeah. And, like, the thing, too, with a timeshare, once you have it, you're fucked. You have it. It's really hard to get rid of a timeshare. So,
well, isn't it 3,000? Is it 3,000 like a year? Or is it 3,000 flat or what?
it was, okay, so you would pay $42,000 flat for
Ever.
but then there's maintenance fees,
Oh.
and then there's electricity bill and all that stuff.
But
you
you're
have to pay.
splitting that, but you only have to pay that much for when you're there, though, aren't you? Don't you?
Okay, here's the thing. The electricity bill, I think, and the utilities, you end up paying like $60 a month.
$60 a month for a place you can only go to one time a year?
And then I think that's like utility and maintenance. And I think in the end it comes out to like $500 that you
month?
have to pay a year.
Okay.
But that's $500
Either way.
you're paying a year for a place that you stay once.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? That means that you could have stayed at a place like that for $500 if you would have rented it from somebody for a week. Like, well, not a week. You could probably pay like $1,000 to stay there for a week.
Because like realistically, like if it was just like $3,000 and then you paid like utility and maintenance stuff while you're there, like, you know, like, and that's it. Like, I mean, I think that's actually not too bad. But like if you're paying all these friggin', like, you know, look at this, you have to pay this maintenance stuff, you know, for this place.
But
that
even
you're only
still,
at once a year.
I wouldn't, if they would have offered me a timeshare for $15 and $1 a year maintenance, I still wouldn't have done it.
Why?
Because it's a fucking scam. Like, I don't want to give them any of my money because they're scamming people. Their business is a corrupt business idea. I kind of get it, and if they were to do it, like, but like, I don't think there's a timeshare company out there that's actually moral. Like,
probably not.
The reason they're doing
it's all
it
about
is
making
for money.
Like, that's all it is. But I mean, realistically, that's kind of that's
company.
a lot of businesses,
right?
Like most of them.
Okay, so last topic.
Yeah, this is a big one too. Robin Williams passed away on, was it Thursday or was it Wednesday or was it Tuesday? It was last week.
It was Monday.
It was Monday. I don't know
Monday.
shit. And that was, I got a text from a buddy of mine, and we have like a group messaging thing, and he just says like arbitrarily like, well, I think we can all agree like we lost like a really like special person today, and I was just like, what are you talking about? Because I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, Robin Williams just passed away, and I was just like, what? You know, and now that it's been a week, you know, more stuff has been unveiled with it. How, you know, he did commit suicide.
Right.
He died of asphyxiation. I think he hung himself with his belt.
That kind of sounds like that's what happened.
Yeah, and then there was also there was a pocket knife nearby and cuts all over his wrists and things like that too.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's sad.
I know.
And like, to the people out there who are saying that it was selfish what he did, that's total bullshit.
I wouldn't say it's bullshit. I think it is selfish, but the thing is that when you're in a position like that, like, it's not.
So here's the thing: is that when you're to the point where there's like no hope left, and you really, because like when you're in that position, as far as I've heard, you don't think that you're worth anything, and you're not capable of making a rational choice. So rationally thinking, yes, I can kind of see how suicide is selfish, but when you're in that position, you're not thinking rationally. And
it's selfish from everyone else's perspective.
But at the same time,
but
like you don't really have the choice, because you think when you're in a moment like that, you don't feel like you do have a choice.
Yeah.
You feel like you're at a point where if you're willing to take your own life, you're at a point where you're not capable of making a rational choice, and because of that, it's not selfish. Yeah. And I think we can all agree that it's very sad, and whether or not it's selfish, maybe we should just keep to ourselves in a time like this and just think what we think on the inside and just be sad on the outside. I think that's probably the best reaction.
Well, there's a couple things that have come out of this in like media and news and stuff. The news was just initially leaked on, it was around, because it happened about noon on Monday or whatever day it was. And then it got kind of word spread. I mean, like I knew by about 2 or 3, and then I actually I believe this is the first late night show that made a comment on it was actually Conan, because they shoot the show at 4 p.m.
Oh, okay.
And I think most of the other places actually do it at like noon.
Right.
So their shows went on like normal that night, but Conan he had Will Arnett on the show, and his assistant Andy on there too. And they did the entire show, and then right before the last segment, when they close out the show and stuff, Producer came over and told him because they had just found out.
Yeah.
So they told the 3 guys that were up there, and they came back from commercial, and we just found out some like really tragic news, and the entire crowd just like gasped because none of them knew. Like this was like breaking news kind of thing, and all 3 of them made like comments on it because all 3 of them had worked with him before, like many times, like. And that kind of thing. So that was weird to not only see, this is one of the first big media outlets of this, but to also see 3 guys who are genuinely dealing with this in front of your eyes.
Right.
And it's not just me dealing with it, it's 3 guys who knew this guy personally.
Right.
And so it was weird to watch 3 guys kind of process it and be talking about it at the same time. So part of it is they're riffing what they know they should say. They're going on about how he was just the sweetest guy, and he really was like just so unique and like a legend in comedy and all this stuff. And at the same time, you're looking at their faces and you can see they're struggling just getting words out and like processing the whole situation and stuff.
Yeah.
It was
like,
really weird to see.
And like out of anyone in the world, here's another thing that kind of proves that he felt like he had no choice, is that out of everyone in the world, the Western world, I should say, universally loved.
Yeah.
Is Robin Williams.
Pretty much.
Like, and if that doesn't show that, like, he was suffering with depression and he felt like he had no choice and he did it. And I can't call that selfish. It's a tragedy, and that's all. It's kind of like saying, and I read this somewhere, but it's kind of like saying suicide is selfish, like going blind and being a diabetic is selfish. It's something that can happen when you have a certain illness, and depression is an illness. Yeah. So, and the thing too is he was going to treatment for his depression.
Well, because he was in rehab in actually Minnesota here 3 or 4 months ago. Yeah. And he had checked himself out, and then a couple weeks ago he actually came back because my facts might not be right. I might have the 2 instances mixed up, but he came back because he got to the point where he could, like, because he was sober for I don't know, 6 or 7 years or something, and then he got to the point where he was comfortable with having a drink now and then.
Oh, okay.
And it got to the point where he knew that he felt it like it was gonna escalate. So he actually did like preemptive, and he put himself in treatment right away.
Oh, wow.
So like he knew, like, I can't do this. So he was actually in Minnesota like a week or 2 ago.
Huh.
Like, because he had actually checked himself back in and just stayed for like a day or 2 just to kind of detox a little and stuff like that, because he was worried that he was gonna kind of jump back again. Now, did you hear that this was just announced yesterday, is that he was in the very first stages of Parkinson's disease?
No, his wife was.
No, he is. His wife announced it.
Oh.
She came out and said he was. So now everyone is thinking that he was, because he's dealt with so much depression, and then this is on top of it, which
pushed him over
he probably
the edge.
just found out in the last 6 months.
Right.
And like, it's really early stages.
And the thing too is, like, it's not. I mean, it was the depression that, it's not. I guess I'm not sure what I'm saying. Like, it was just kind of the final straw,
I feel like it could have been. That could have been one of the things that could have been the tipping point.
Right. It just pushed him.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really too bad, because I'll have to watch like Aladdin and Good Morning Vietnam and
Disney Channel is running Aladdin on like 3 or 4 of its channels all weekend. Yeah. They announced that as that in like tribute to him. I want to touch on one thing that is just horrible, and then I want to end on a high note, which is kind of nice about it.
Like weed.
Yeah, it's just marijuana. No. He has 3 kids. He has a daughter. Her name is Zelda.
Yep.
And he's the biggest closet nerd.
Yeah.
Like, I had no idea, and it's just like, and like I saw this thing, like he was way into like overclocking his computers and supercooling them. Oh yeah.
Awesome.
So I was just like, I feel like I'm much more connected with you now. But apparently his daughter, she had like a bunch of pictures of her and him on Instagram and Twitter and things like that, and she was doing these posts and almost kind of reaching out, and there was so much positive, just like, I am so sorry, like, you have so much condolences.
What happened? Oh.
Well,
because
after he passed,
I thought you were saying she was sending them to him.
No,
like they had some breaking up.
No.
Okay.
So after he passed, she was reaching out on like social media and stuff, not necessarily for attention, but just kind of saying like, like, I just wanted, like, I had this great relationship with my dad, and I'm just in such a bad place right now. And there was a huge like outreach from fans and stuff to her, just like, like, you have our condolences, and we feel for you, all this stuff. But of course, there's a couple guys out there who are just like, we're gonna be complete assholes. So I mean, okay, I'll jump right to the worst. There were people that were photoshopping pictures of his face onto dead bodies and tweeting them to her.
Wow.
Yeah. And she, like, it was one of those things where I just imagine her opening this and falling to pieces crying kind of thing, which is, I'm sure, like, how it went down and stuff.
Yeah, I think people forget on the internet that there's somebody else sitting on the other side.
Yeah.
Like, it's
just ridiculous.
Yeah. And I mean, when
what do you have to gain from that?
Just being a dick.
I made Robin Williams' daughter cry. Tee-hee-hee.
Right. No, like people have to realize that on the other side of the keyboard is somebody with feelings.
Yeah.
And like, if you go through YouTube comments, you can see clearly that people don't understand that. And it is getting better, especially with like internet bullying stuff coming
There's
out.
a lot of YouTubers especially that have made, like, they've been a lot more verbal about how it's not okay and how you need to treat other people like people.
Right.
Not like you're talking to nothing.
A computer,
like,
yeah.
You're talking to another person.
Right,
like,
yeah. And like,
and it has gotten better, but this is just not. It's just unacceptable.
And I want to do a shout out right now. Is that in the Linux community? There's a lot of people in the Linux community, because obviously, like myself, we're a little bit elitist about Linux and how it's great.
Just a smidge.
But the Linux community consists of mostly younger people around my age, in their 20s or younger. And because of that, we tend to be really harsh to especially newcomers that are coming in and don't know as much as we do.
Like me.
Yeah. And we need to be nicer to people because it's giving Linux kind of a bad name. I know some of the reasons why I've heard people don't join or they abandon Linux is because the community is very not helpful and sort of insulting, and if you don't
it's
know
so
everything,
community based, and then you go to the community and the community tells you to fuck off.
Right, yeah, a little
and
bit.
It's just like,
and I mean,
great.
I'm not saying everyone, but it is definitely
no, it's
an issue with a lot of distros, which is actually one of the reasons why I've been thinking about switching to BSD, because BSD is a much more mature crowd. Most of their users are in their 30s.
Yeah.
And they're usually a lot nicer about noobs coming in. And the community seems to be... Well, the community is smaller, which means that it's a little closer together and a little bit more. But people seem to have a lot more respect for other people in the BSD community than in the Linux community.
I just, I know how to work my PC and my Mac, so I'm okay. I'm sure eventually I'll feel froggy and I'll take a dive and I'll see how Ubuntu is. But no, they back to the stuff with like Twitter and everything. So Zelda, she came out and said, after, these guys came on and were doing these horrible things and stuff, she came out and said, I'm sorry, but I am not strong enough right now to rise above this. I am deleting Twitter from my phone right now. I'm suspending my account, indefinitely. Maybe I'll come back. I probably won't.
Wow.
And she did that. I think she did that to her Instagram too.
Wow.
Twitter came out 2-3 days later and suspended everyone involved. All of them.
Perfect.
Came in and it was just like, and Twitter came out and said, this is harassment. This is against the law.
Yeah.
Like, this is not an issue of free speech or anything.
Wow.
Like,
it's the first time Twitter has actually stood up by the sounds of it.
Like, Twitter came out and actually suspended a bunch of accounts.
Good.
So it's just like, thank you. And then Twitter actually announced they were doing, they were implicating more stuff in their terms of service.
Well, and here's the thing. Here's the thing about
that.
free speech. You are using their medium in order to say your free speech.
Mm-hmm.
If you weren't using their medium, sure,
well,
but you are, and as a company, they can say no. We don't want you to put that on there. That's why Facebook can delete your account if you put a picture of your dick on there. And they should, because as a company, I mean, you should have some sort of moral standing and say this is what we will allow and this is what we won't allow. Because it kind of makes sense, And then here's the thing: if you don't like what they do and don't allow, then don't use it.
Yeah.
And if everyone doesn't like what they do and don't allow, then no one would use it, and then they would fall apart. And
if you really want, you can go ahead and Photoshop your picture of Robin Williams on a dead guy, print it out, go to Zelda's house, and then hold it up in front of her and laugh and run away.
And then watch as hundreds of bodyguards beat the living shit out of you.
And that's the thing, is that people are fucking pussies, and they're just like, ooh, through the internet, I can be a tough guy.
Yeah.
And it's probably some dumbass, like, piece of shit.
14-year-old
kid. It's like, this'll be funny. Yeah. Just like, fuck you.
Yep. And like, that, I understand, because, like, Twitter also, they're really against the government stepping in and taking content from them, which I'm cool with that. But you need to. I like it when companies have some moral standing and they say, no, we won't let you tweet, like hate crime stuff, and we won't let you tweet.
Well, because so far the government hasn't had a huge hand in. They haven't interfered too much with stuff with Twitter. Not a whole lot. There's been a little,
and
bit
they shouldn't. They shouldn't. But
it's
Twitter,
a private company. And now Twitter is actually taking a stand for some of this stuff against things like this, especially. And like, I'm sorry, those people should be freaking banned forever. Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, you should grab their IP address and never let them on again.
Well, it's just ridiculous. Like, what do you not realize you're interacting with other people? Like, why can't you treat another human like a person? Like, why are you just treating them like they're just this thing to be ridiculed? Like, that's just... Because
you pull the humanity is gone when you're using the internet, because you can't see somebody else's face. It's kind of like when you're driving and somebody cuts you off, and you've cut people off before, but you're still like, you stupid fucker, you should die.
Because you're yelling at a car.
And nothing would make you happier than seeing that car crash into an oil tanker and explode. You'd just be like, yay! But yeah, you just wish death upon somebody.
Yeah.
But it's because it's so dehumanized that like. Because I've noticed I walk to work every day, and when people pull out in front of me, I usually see their faces.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking in through the car door, I'm closer. And when I see that, like, I don't get, like, sidewalk rage or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because I can see them, and usually they're like, ooh, sorry, I just ran you over almost. I'm sorry.
I almost killed you a little.
And then, you usually you wave back and you keep walking, which, in St. Cloud, it's surprising how many times I almost get run over.
Well, it's St. Cloud. That's the thing. It's St. Cloud. Like, compared to the cities and stuff, the people in the cities are just completely crazy, but the thing is that they're crazy together.
Yeah.
Like, they're trained to be crazy together, so the traffic actually runs, fairly consistently, as long as there's not, like, construction, which, Minnesota, there's 2 seasons, winter and road construction. So.
Right, so.
The last thing I want to say about the Robin Williams stuff, and I think this is probably one of the most positive things to come out of this, besides the outreach of celebrities and fans just worldwide that have been, like, really positive and saying, like, how great of a person he was, and, don't let the last 30 minutes of his life overshadow
what he did.
A legendary career,
Yeah.
But there was actually, and I'd mentioned before that he was kind of a nerd a little bit, and he had some overclock systems and stuff. He used to play World of Warcraft.
Did he?
Back in the day, yeah. He played some WoW, and I wish.
How awesome would it have been to play WoW?
With
and then you
Robin
like,
Williams.
hey, and the thing back then was what was that called? The voice over IP that everybody used back in the day.
Vent.
Vent,
Yeah,
yes.
they still use that.
Like,
That's
could
pretty
you
popular
imagine you're sitting there and all of a sudden fucking Robin Williams' voice pops up? You're like,
Yeah.
dude, are you Robin Williams? Like, no, I'm not Robin Williams at all.
Apparently he would go into trade chat all the time and troll people and like I'm Robin Williams tee and just troll the shit out of people. But someone actually went in the WoW community who knew that he had played, and they went to change.org, which I think just recently change.org had a petition going to get Weird Al to play the Super Bowl. That was one of those things.
That would be fantastic.
Change.org got like 11,000 petition signs within like 12 hours to have Robin Williams be immortalized as an NPC.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah.
And WoW came out within the next 24 hours and said, "Done, we're doing it, no problem." And they were just like, and I was just like, thank you. Like, there's a community out there that's just like,
Are they going to take his actual character too, like the one that he?
I think they're
had?
going to because what they want to do is they want to put his character in the World's End Tavern. I don't know if it's going to be the character he played or if it's going to be like an NPC that kind of resembles
Robin
him.
Williams, yeah.
And then I think they were going to like give him just a couple like NPC lines that like kind of resemble things that he said in movies and things like that.
I hope.
Oh Captain, my Captain.
I kind of hope
like
that like if you fight him, he turns into the genie and he just fucking destroys you.
I don't see him being a boss, but I think he'll just hang out in the bar.
Yeah.
And
right.
But I saw that
like
and
I was
just
thinking
yes.
if the Horde, like if he was an alliance, but he probably won't be an alliance. Or
I don't know
Horde,
what he
he'll just
played.
be-
I don't know what he rolled.
Yeah. But I wonder, like, because if you were attacking the town and it was, if he would just like turn into this awesome freaking like the genie from Aladdin and just fucking destroy you.
Well, it was like
impossible to kill. You look at his health and it says infinite.
who was that Tauren?
No.
Was it Gammon, the Tauren that was in Orgrimmar all the time? And before, I think it was before Cataclysm, you could attack him.
Yeah.
And you could one-shot him because he only had like 1,000 health. And then they finally launched Cataclysm, and they had him come because that's when they redid Orgrimmar and Stormwind. And you came back in, and all of a sudden, this dude with 1,000 health rages out, and he's got 1.2 million. And he's like an epic boss fight now.
So
and, like,
if you hit him, he would just
he'd wreck
destroy you.
Yeah, you'd need a fucking 10-man raid
Wow.
to take him out now. And it's just like, oh my god. I mean, that might not be the case now. I think anyone could probably solo him at this point.
I wonder if there's a rabbit out there somewhere that if you kill it or if you try to kill it, it'll turn into just like this fucking epic, insane giant rabbit.
It could be.
That will just eat you alive.
Did you see Minecraft did a Monty Python thing with that? Minecraft, for their 1.8 release, just announced they're going to have rabbits in the game now. And you can kill them and you can get like meat off them, and then you can take their
there'll be one that's
skin.
like a super killer rabbit.
Very so often, you're going to have like a 0.01% where you'll run across a white rabbit with bright red eyes that'll be very hostile to you. And it'll
awesome.
and it can like 3-shot you if you're not wearing any armor kind of thing.
Wow.
Like, it is a boss. And it's just like, yes. I'm glad that these guys are like doing these little throwbacks
Awesome.
and stuff. I think the Minecraft community is actually pretty, because the thing is the actual developers for Minecraft over at Mojang listen to the community a lot. I mean, the fact that there are horses in the game was a complete community thing. Like, they actually went to the mod creators who did the horse mod before they had horses in the game, and they said, hey, you guys made amazing horse models. Can we use them?
Yeah.
Like, for the actual game.
And they were like,
yes.
Sure.
Go for it. Like, no problem. So... It's crazy to see the community all like tight knit into that and stuff. So we got like 4 minutes. What do you want to spiel?
Okay, wrap up time. Yeah, you hear that crazy music? That means that it's wrap up time. Okay, wrap up time.
I'm Victor, which we did not say at the beginning.
Oh yeah, I'm Paul.
And this is our new podcast. This is week 1.
Pretty unnamed.
It's still unnamed. The unnamed podcast so far.
Yeah, we probably offended somebody.
I don't care.
And if we did, I care.
Why?
And I apologize.
Why do you care?
Because I like people, and I like people to like me.
People are... Okay. Well, I've said this a lot, and I don't even remember where this quote is from. But people... A person is smart and has an opinion. People are dumb. Idiots. No.
It's kind of like a... okay, so... If you get one cow, and you're herding it around... they'll stay relatively calm. You know, even when you're walking, or because as long as you're not like lunging towards it, the cow will stay pretty calm and it'll just kind of wander away from you mostly. If you get a herd of cows and you keep kind of wandering towards them, they freak the fuck out and then they run and trample and just do all sorts of bad
So what you're
things.
saying is, I'm a cow.
Yep.
Okay.
You're a disgusting fucking
I
piece of shit, Victor.
am bovine. Hear me moo.
Ah.
We don't actually have to moo, do we? Yeah, you do.
So how close are we to an hour?
I wanted another 2 minutes because we had stuff we have to cut out.
No, okay. So
So-
we're still.
Because we're at an hour and 12
You're gonna put
seconds.
this on the internet, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're gonna put it up on.
I'll find one of those like free podcast websites.
Huh.
And
And it'll never get listened to.
we'll share it. I'll share it on Facebook and Twitter.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
I wonder if I did offend anybody. Seriously, if I offended anybody, I'm sorry.
I apologize.
I don't think I did.
This is our first podcast.
It's kind of nice the whole time.
Pretty
Maybe
nice.
don't put this on the internet.
Too late.
Shit.
It's uploading right now.
No, it's not. It's still recording.
It's that's the upload speed.
Oh, a 1-to-1 upload
Because
speed.
I can trick you like that.
All right. Well, I think I'm gonna go home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I'm gonna go to work and
Fun.
upload this probably.
that sounds like fun.
You're too close to the microphone.
I don't think I am.
I think it's gonna clip. Oh, it clipped.
See you later.